welcome to Fourth Wall TV. I'm Colin.
I'm Lou. I'm Melanie.
And I'm Guy.
This is the second installment of our new podcast, and we will be discussing pages 52 to 76 of Fahrenheit 451.
Just a quick summary. Montag watched a woman die with her books while he was starting a fire to burn her library. We also found out that he's been collecting books, like about 20 of them, from the fires that he started, and just been like hiding them in his ceiling. He showed them to his wife, and they struck a deal to read the books together and find out like what the big deal is, like why they're burning them. And now he's on a journey to find an English professor he met a long time ago in hopes of finding out the value of the books that he's collected, like for example, Homer and like the Bible and stuff like that. Today we're going to be talking about historical lens leading into like the feminist lens, because it's kind of related in this case. The book was written around the 1950s, or like the original idea was, so there's a lot of historical
context.
Context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So when he's talking about how he's like hoarding the books and, you know, it's very controversial, and he's like thinking about disclosing the books to his wife, that kind of thing, that's very reminiscent of the drug culture of the late 60s. And
that's when the movie was made, right?
Yeah. So they're, you know, it's very closely connected to like contraband, hoarding contraband materials and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's also interesting, like, just the mindset of the period, how it translated into the reason why they banned books, because they banned it because, like, making people comfortable. This was at a time that a lot of people weren't very comfortable, so they were banning books for all sorts of reasons, just because they like attacked the smokers, and the smokers felt insecure about smoking cigarettes, and so they just got rid of like books on that, or just like all sorts of things.
I have a quote for that. Basically on page 56. Page 56. I think, what's his name again?
Montag?
No, Beauty.
Oh,
I think
the
that's
captain,
how you say it.
the fire captain.
Yeah. He says, "You must understand that our civilization is so vast that we can't have our minorities upset and stirred." I don't see how banning books is gonna like help that, but like.
Also, it talks about minorities, but there are no minorities in this at all.
Yeah.
Like, normally when something
is
is written by a white author, they specify when the person's not white, and there is not one person.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, think about it, there's only really 8 or 9 characters throughout this whole thing. There's people in the background. There's like the family across the street, and then there's our main couple, and then the people that came with the machines. And I think that also adds to, like you said, like the value of just like what these people are doing instead of reading, instead of like what they're doing is just consuming like mass media that is kind of like infused into their world, which is basically that's what they do. They watch TV and listen to the radio, and
it's really unsettling the type of TV that they watch too. Like, we found out that she just like there's like this family program.
I know.
It's so creepy.
And like also in the last few pages, he mentions that the wife recently spent, not recently, I don't know, but she spent like $100 on something that would replace when the announcer would talk, it would replace the like audience's name with her name. So it would say Mrs. I forget.
Mrs. Montag.
Mrs.
Montag.
Mrs. Montag. It was so weird, and I was like, what the?
Yeah. $100 back then is like $750 now.
And I mean, to think about like they said he made $6,000 a year, and she's like really wants the fourth wall, roll credits, for the third of his salary to get that TV, and that just kind of like proves like what they're still trying to find the value of books. Like, they don't know what the value of books is, but they have put a monetary value on what TV is and what's her name is going to do all day, Miss Montag. So
yeah, it's also weird, like the type of value the TV holds, because there's like this family program, and then she just like hears like aunts and uncles like just talking in their living room while she's like tending to him in the bedroom or whatever because he's sick, or quote sick. He just like feels bad about the woman dying.
I have a quote for that too.
Good.
When Guy asked Millie, he's like, do these people love you? And she's like, my family is people. they tell me things, I laugh, they laugh, and the colors.
Yeah.
On page like 60, I think that's 69.
It's
What
so
the fuck?
Yeah, it's so creepy
No,
because
like,
they
what?
talk about nothing.
Exactly.
And then
And these people don't know you, babe.
yeah,
You
exactly.
paid for these people.
And when they start reading the books, they're like, I don't get it. I don't get what's going on.
Because there's just, they think that everything that everything that they consume is something that is, they don't have to think. They're just kind of like in it already. And when they're reading, they have to create their own images. Whereas with the TV,
Yeah.
the images are being created for them. And with the ear things, like it's kind of pumping something in. Whereas when you're reading a book, you have to take it in you take it into your head a certain way, and then it's in your head a certain way, and then you create the images in your head a certain way.
It's just like comfortability.
Also, like they didn't only ban books. Like they banned a bunch of shit.
Plays,
They
I
also
think.
talked about
Yeah.
funerals. Like
Uh-huh.
what is that?
It's just like comfortability, I think, because they were talking about they didn't want people to be sad. And I think, like, Guy, you were kind of touching on this at the beginning, like, about the time period and how they just,
Yeah. So, yeah, this whole thing is definitely also, touching on the 1950s and 1960s with mass media and that kind of thing, which was a huge deal back then. And not exactly propaganda, but like spreading information through videos and through that sort of thing. Books were kind of
in magazines.
falling out of popularity.
Yeah.
It was all about pictures and flashy and drawing people's attention.
And I also think that the only information, like the only higher power we really have in this world is the firefighters. We haven't really heard anything of there's certainly a military because of the planes and the whatever flies overhead, but there's never there's no information. She doesn't watch TV to find out about the day or look at news stories. She's watching TV to be a part of something, and like we've been saying. And I think that the fact that the fireman and the fire captain is the person that we've seen with the highest power, it's kind of interesting to see what that means for the society and what these people really know about where they are.
I feel like the TV and stuff, it could also basically be providing a false, not a kind of false picture, obscuring what's actually going on
Definitely.
behind the scenes in the government, that there's a ton of corrupt stuff that people know nothing about because there are no news sources that are being used, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I had a quote for what you were saying, Colin, but I lost it. It was just about what his captain said to him about making, political opinions. They were so that people aren't politically troubled, tell him, because it's all about men, because the women don't work. We can get into that in a second. But, tell him only one side of the political spectrum, or better
don't give him a side.
Don't even give him opinion. Just that part was whoa. I understand, because you're saying the propaganda guy.
Yeah.
That makes so much. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, the women don't work. The women, they just don't work. And the 50s are portrayed a lot, or they actually were, that the women would just stay home and hang out with their friends. And we didn't really get a sense of Mildred. Is that her name?
Yeah,
The wife?
Millie. Yeah, it's
Millie.
affectionately
Her,
called Millie.
Yeah. Her social life, but we find out that she has friends.
She does have friends.
And they come over to watch TV together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing, the way that Montag is kind of awake, the stereotypical leave in the morning, come home, whatever. And I think that when she was I think the time he came home, she was in the bed and had overdosed on the pills, or I think the fact that he kind of is almost tuned out to what she's doing, this may all be something that he sees and is much different from her point of view, and maybe I don't even know, maybe going into some of that deeper meaning stuff where it's his reality is just that job and her reality is just the TV. What does he really know about what she thinks about where she is? And that's the other thing, she didn't even remember how they met. They were talking about that, she didn't remember, so it was just yeah.
And he talks about how, I literally can't find any quotes today. He talks about how on page 61, it says, she says, the keys to the Beetle are on the night table. I always like to drive fast when I feel this way. And she's talking about hitting animals and driving fast and how it makes her feel good. And then he refers back to how the woman who overdosed and the woman that he sees every day when he wakes up, they've never met each other. There's two sides to herself. like one that's really tortured and depressed, and one that's just kind of like just like a face on a poster. And I think
And also the fact that she consumes so many drugs, like also leads into that housewife stereotype of the 50s. And I'm just like,
a little
it's
worried.
It's a little worrying.
And she just
And also he doesn't care if she dies.
yeah.
He has said that. He doesn't care.
He started crying because he was like, I'm just so sad at the thought of not being sad when she dies.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah.
like, hey yo.
Seems like right in the beginning of the book, like he was definitely concerned with her well-being when she overdosed. But I feel like he's more concerned with losing someone that she was rather than like her current state now. He doesn't really care about losing this woman that's living in the present.
I don't even know about that, because if he did, he would remember some type of part of who she was before, but he doesn't even remember anything about her. He just remembers that she's not who she is, who she was before.
And, yeah, and we said earlier about the go take the beetle to like smash and kill things like that. The thing of like, I haven't decided. Right now I've got an awful feeling. I want to smash and kill things, and that's such a norm that Mildred Daugherty just like, oh, like go take the beetle, like that's. And
Yeah.
the keys to the beetle are on the night table. I always like to drive fast when I feel that way. You can get it up around 95 and you feel wonderful. And then she's talking about killing animals, like driving along the road. And I think that, like, is that the way that pain is solved? By, like, driving really fast? And we know that one of the main characters has already died in a car accident from probably a similar situation.
Yeah,
So,
the girl dies.
Yeah, so it's, yeah. I mean,
And there's no way for them to process like all of their emotions, because they have nothing to make them uncomfortable. So when they suddenly feel super intensely, they just like go kill things and kick dogs, and it's like, what?
yeah.
Like, there's no place to mourn because they don't even have funerals.
Yeah,
That's another
like-
thing. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and they don't remember their pain. I guess like their pain is kind of like, it's like that somewhere in there that hurts, but I don't know what that is. Like it's, I guess, like in both ways.
Yeah. I think we are out of time for our second podcast. I guess.
We've
Thank
been
you
fourth,
for listening to Fourth Wall.
Fourth Wall
Oh,
TV,
yeah.
and we hope you don't actually have a Fourth Wall TV. But
Yeah, because it's terrifying.
yeah, don't do that. But
Okay, bye.
Bye.